Good morning. I'm going to walk you through your document analysis and your planning of your DBQ essay briefly. This is going to be for AP European History, and this is our first DBQ that we're working on just after spring break. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remind ourselves, okay, what does the rubric tell us we have to do? And College Board gives us that. And then we're going to take a look at what the prompt is asking us to do. Okay. So remember, you're going to respond to the prompt with a historically defensible thesis. Okay, not only are you going to state your thesis, but you also have to establish a line of reasoning. Where'd you come up with that? Where are you going to go with this document? Just a brief preview of here's why I think that. Okay. Describe a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. That's your contextualization. If you don't remember what those are, there's other videos for that. You can always look it up on YouTube too. Okay, the broader historical contextualization. You're putting the prompt where it needs to be in history. You're going to support the argument using at least 6 of the documents. For my class, I require that you reference every document. Just in case College Board doesn't accept one of them, I like for you to have a backup. So I require that you use all 7 documents in order for me to grant you this point. Okay, one of them might be wrong, so you hedge your bets. Use at least one additional piece of specific historic evidence, the SHE, the specific historical evidence. We do this all the time with your SAQs. It has to be specific. It has to relate to the prompt. It has to show something of your knowledge. You're showing off to College Board a little bit here. I know this other piece of information that isn't found in these documents, okay? But it also has to be relevant to your argument about the prompt. For at least 3 of the documents, explain how or why the document's point of view, purpose, historical situation is relevant to an argument. Why is it that the person who is speaking is important to what you're trying to defend with your argument? And then use evidence to basically prove your argument, is what it's saying here. Collaborate, qualify, modify an argument. However, if you're going for your complexity point, you're going to look at it. Okay, so if it asks you to do one of our skills, you might pick another skill or do an opposite skill. So if it's asking you to do your CCOT, you might want to do a compare and contrast. Just one little short paragraph to kind of really say, but there's this other way of looking at it too. Okay, so that's basically your rubric in a nutshell. That's what College Board gives you as a reminder. These are how you earn your points. So now what does College Board want you to do? Okay, so here's our prompt. Evaluate whether Spanish exploration in the period 1492 to 1600 was motivated primarily by economic considerations or by religious considerations. It is already telling you what you're going to be doing. You're going to say it was motivated by either economic considerations. I'm highlighting them so that as I'm going through the documents, I'm going to find these same 2 pieces of information throughout the documents, and I'm going to keep them in mind for myself. For those of you who are doing this at home, remember there are different ways you can work with your text. You can add notes to it. You can annotate it. You can write notes to yourself on a sheet of notebook paper if you don't have a printer or the other things available to you. But I do want you to kind of take notes to yourself in some way or another. The other thing that I have provided for you was this particular DBQ planning sheet. If this is the only place that you have that you can take notes, then by all means use it. It's kind of an organizer. We'll come back to this particular document here in a little bit. First thing I want to do though is I want to start looking at the document and start pulling out pieces of information. Okay. Again, we're looking for motivation by primary economic or religious considerations. So we know that all of our documents are going to have something either economic or religious in them. And then later I'm going to use that information to make my argument that it was more this than that. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a comparison essay. All right. Source, always read your source first because it gives you sometimes a lot of different information that's not in the document itself. Christopher Columbus, a Genoese explorer in the service of the Spanish monarchy, report on his first voyage, sent to the King of Spain and royal officials, 1493. This is what he has to say. In that island, which we named Hispaniola in the Caribbean, there are mountains of very great size and beauty, vast plains, grove, and very fruitful fields. admirably adapted for farming, pasture, and settlement. Moreover, it abounds in various kinds of spices, gold, and metal. Stop. I already have evidence in this paragraph for he's thinking in economically. He's saying spices, gold, and minerals, but he's also saying farming, pasture, and settlement. He's thinking ahead. He's saying we can come back here and we can bring people who are going to interact with the fruitful fields, maybe do some farming, raising some cattle, and definitely settle the land. Okay, definitely economic right here. However, he goes on to say, in all these islands, there's no difference of manners or of language, but they all clearly understand each other, a circumstance very advantageous for the completion of what I conceive to be the principal wish of our most serene king. He's a flatterer. Namely, the conversion of these people to the holy faith of Christ. Okay, definitely. Okay, so now he's saying, let's convert these people to the holy faith of Christ. A little bit of religious, okay. He says, I think this is your principal wish, dear king. Okay. Convert the people to Christ. And then if you have other thoughts, you might write notes to yourself on the side. Okay. So here he's talking about return and use resources. And here he's saying, okay, the language that the people speak, he only has to learn one language to do this. I'm going to say to accomplish his task. All right, so that's going to make it a little bit easier for him. These are just notes to myself. Okay. Up in the source, I might want to consider how the point of view, historical situation, whatever. This is going to be Christopher Columbus, and he's reporting to the King of Spain and also the time period. Okay, those are some things I might need to keep in mind later. All right. Now, another fun thing about these, when College Board sends them to us, it might not all be on one page. So if you notice down here, it ends with much, and then I have to go up to this next page to get that last line. So just keep that in mind, that don't think that the document ends at the end of the page. It probably doesn't. Just, keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to do the second one for you, is so you can kind of get an idea of what you might want to do with this. And I want you to do a read through of all of the documents first before you start thinking about, okay, what's the contextualization here? What was my thesis going to be? Because you should have a general idea of all of them. I'm only going to do the first two with you so that you can get practice doing the other 5 on your own. Okay. Source, Miguel de Este, Spanish soldier. So he's going to have a very different point of view than, Christopher Columbus. He's a soldier. He's going to look at things from a military point of view. Account of Spanish conquest of Peru, 1533. So we've advanced, 40 years at this point. We ask why they cared about such a crude and ungainly idol. Stop. I already know this is religious. And this is an attitude towards religion right here. So they're saying crude and ungainly idol. Negative, very negative. To native religion. Okay. They were astounded at our daring and defended the honor of their God and said that I'm not sure how to pronounce that, and that's okay. The creator who healed illness. Okay, so that is part of their religion, their creator who healed illness. Cool. From what we could learn, this devil, that tells you right there of where this guy's coming from. This is another negative right here. So, they're using very negative terminology. That's his point of view. Remember, point of view, purpose, historical situation is relevant to your argument. Okay, this might come in handy later. Negative. Spanish. Spanish towards Native Americans. Okay, very negative point of view. appeared to the priest. Okay, from what we could learn, this devil appeared to the priest in that building and spoke with them, and people came with petitions and offering from the entire kingdom. Okay, definitely not discussing economic considerations in this paragraph, discussing religion itself. Seeing the evil there and the blindness of all of these people, we gathered together their leaders and enlightened them. Okay, so he thinks you must convert or correct their behavior. That's definitely an attitude, okay? That's a religious consideration. So enlighten them. In the presence of all, the building was opened and torn down, and with much solemnity, a tall cross, so we know that this is Christianity, was raised over the spot for which so long the devil had claimed as his own. Very religious consideration. Nothing going on in this particular document is economic, so I don't really have a whole lot of green here. Other documents might be completely green and no blue, whatever. But what I want you to do is, take a look at the documents, kind of analyze them, make notes to yourself, think about, okay, once you get to the end, what's the historical context here? Obviously, the historical context of these documents is going to be the Spanish and what's going on with the Spanish exploration. You can talk about, 50 years before 1492. You can talk about 50 years after 1600. You can talk about something that isn't being discussed, but I generally want you to stick to the time period bits. The Spanish exploration, were they motivated by economic money or religion? What's really driving them to come to the New World and interact with the native peoples? Okay, so writing your notes in your documents, so in your piles over in your boxes over here, and again, making sure when you think about your thesis, do these bits last so that you've had a chance to go through all your documents first. Okay, you don't have to start writing the essay today. What I want is for you to do a good plan. Okay, we'll do the writing bit later. This is what we're doing today. This is what I want you to focus on. Please ask me if you have questions. Thank you.